Okay, well, let's begin. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So, we are continuing on the fifth verse of the fifth chapter of Shri Brahma Samhita. Um, and this is describing the transcendental abode known as Shvetadvip, which is Gokul, which is known both as Goloka and as Gokul Vrindavan when it is present on the material plane. So we are continuing where we left off last week. Um, so it is said that what we ended with was how Krishna dispels the distress of the Brajavasis. So sometimes there's a question that comes up. Someone asks, how is it that Parikar's associates of Krishna are experiencing distress? So, for example, Devaki, Vasudeva and Devaki, they are eternal associates. Why did Devaki undergo distress? She lost children. For a woman to lose a child is great distress. But actually, for Parikars, the only real distress that they have is to be separate from Krishna. If the gopis see if their eyelids are blinking and they are not able to see Shyamasundar, then they are cursing Brahmaji, saying, why has Brahmaji given us eyelids that have to close? And so we are sometimes unable to see Krishna. The cowherd boys are also feeling distress if Krishna is behind a tree for a moment. And when Gopkumar comes to Golok Vrindavan, it is late afternoon, and he witnesses that Brajavasis are submerged in an ocean of distress because they have not seen Krishna all day. So, this is the meaning that has been given here. We are still going through the commentary of Srila Jiva Goswami, but coming to the end of it. So after the description of Goloka, now in the phrase beginning with Satu, there is an explanation of the non-difference between Goloka and Gokul. He protected the Brajavasis by holding up the mountain Govardhan. And this is found in the Narayaniyopakhyan of Moksha Dharma. And Krishna tells, O son of Kunti, speaking to Arjun, I wander throughout the universe in many forms. I roam throughout Brahmaloka, eternal Goloka, and also in Sridham Vrindavan Gokul. It is also stated in the Mrityunjaya Tantra. So this is referring to the non-difference between Goloka. So Goloka, we are using Goloka sometimes to refer to Goloka, which is in the spiritual world, the largest of the Vaikuntha planets. And Gokul is referring to sometimes to the inner part of Goloka, also called Goloka Vrindavan, where there is a predominance of sweetness, where Krishna is exhibiting his pastimes, and the Vrajavasis do not even for a minute think that Krishna may be Bhagavan, because his exhibition of opulence is completely overwhelmed by sweetness. Srila Gurudev has explained sometimes, for example, that uh, when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, Vrajavasis did not think that, oh, he has done it with the little finger of his left hand because he is Bhagavan. No, never. They are thinking that, oh, Krishna knows some mantras. Or they are thinking that Yashoda is so virtuous that because she is so virtuous and she has done some special tapasya, and that is why Krishna is able to do such things. They do not think that it is because Krishna is Bhagavan. So that Golok, that part within Golok, which is called Gokul, that is what is manifest on this earthly plane as Bhauma Vrindavan. So sometimes special words are used, such as Bhauma Vrindavan, to distinguish that we are talking about the Goloka Vrindavan that has been manifest on this earthly plane. So, Mrityunjaya Tantra says that by his own independent desire, he established the Vaikuntha from the spiritual sky on the surface of the earth in the form of Gokul and made such great festivals as Ras Lila with the gopis. This type of festival is the very heart of bhakti, and it bestows pure transcendental love upon the faithful. Narada Pancharatra also describes that in Golokadham, which exists above all other abodes, the incomparable, supremely blissful hero known as Govinda delights in the abode of Gokul. So this is also describing Gokul as within Golokadham. Then there is a quotation from Rig Veda. Tavam vastun yushmasi gamadhyaye yatra gavo bhuri shringa ayasaha atrahata durugayasya krishnaha paramam padam bhavabhati bhuri. So Ta means all. Vam is referring to Rama and Krishna, Krishna and Balaram. Vastuni means pastime places of Gokul. Gamadhyaya means to attain, and Ushmasi means we desire. So the nature of these lila stalis is so excellent and beautiful, and very beautifully horned cows are found there. So this does not only mean that the cows have excellent horns, it also means that they are endowed with great prosperity. These are Kamadhenu cows, which can satisfy all desires. So Goloka is renowned in Bhumandala, in Vaikuntha, and in the Vedas. So Goloka Dham is in many ways as famous and as transcendental to the material nature as Shri Bhagavan. So this actually fourth verse as well as the fifth verse is especially describing the tattva of Dham. The tattva of Krishna's Dham is actually very difficult to understand, but how do we understand it? We do not understand it with intellect. We understand it through the path of devotion, through giving ourselves in love and devotion and chanting Harinam and associating with pure devotees and following 9 angas of bhakti. Tam evaishe vivinute tanum swam. So Bhagavan and Bhagavan's Dham are beyond our ability to intellectualize and try to build up. You know, we do this thing. We try to build up knowledge. We say, oh, I am building up knowledge, and we try to connect things together independently. But knowledge, this knowledge of the Dham, this knowledge of Krishna's sweetness, madhurya, this has to be revealed. So we pray that it should come, let it come in my heart, and let this sweetness come in my heart. And this is what we are praying for when we are chanting. In the Yajur Veda also it is said, Dhaman yushmasiti iti vishnoho paramam param avabhati bhuri. We desire to attain that Goloka Dham, which is the Swarup of Sri Vishnu's supreme abode. And there are so many other statements from Shastra establishing the same. So Srila Jiva Goswami has given so many references from the Vedas and from different Shastras. And then he said, oh yeah, and there's so many more, because he knows that we are a bit mandabuddhi, dull of intellect. And so we are not able to follow all of these references. But so many references are there, he has not even given all of them. Okay, so just so that we know very authoritatively, and our acharyas have not made up anything, they have not manufactured anything. So now we come to the Tatparya. Now we have come to, this is the Sanskrit, the translation of Srila Jiva Goswami's Sanskrit commentary or Tika. Now we come to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Tatparya or purport, who is now he is describing and giving an expansion of the meaning of Srila Jiva Goswami's Tika. So the supreme abode or Gokul is the prominent seat or shelter of Prema Bhakti. All the places of manifestation of Braj in the material world, Bhauma Braj, such as Radha Kund, Govardhan, and the Yamuna, are gracefully present there. Besides this, the complete opulence of Vaikuntha expands to the fullest extent in all directions. Now, this is also a very important thing to understand because it has been said Govardhan is present in Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world, but it is the lifting of Govardhan Hill which is one of the activities which is only present when Krishna descends and performs his pastimes in Gokula Vrindavan. Another pastime that only takes place is Janma Lila, where Krishna takes birth from the womb of Mother Yashoda. Remember, Krishna always takes birth from the womb of Mother Yashoda. Jayate Jananivaso Devaki Janmavado. He is sometimes said to have taken birth from the womb of Devaki, but it is Vasudev Krishna who takes birth from the womb of Devaki, and then uh, when Vasudev takes Vasudev Krishna to Vrindavan, to Gokul, then he puts Krishna down, and that baby, Yashoda has given birth to twins, a boy and a girl. And that Vasudev Krishna enters into the Yashodanandan Krishna, and then but nobody sees this because of Yoga Maya. Yashoda does not even know whether she has given birth to one or two babies. And then Vasudev takes the girl who is Yoga Maya herself back to Mathura, and we know the rest, Murka Kamsa, and so on and so forth. So the original quadruple pastime expansion called Adi Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, and other such manifestations are present in their appropriate situations in Vaikuntha. This Chaturvyuha is partially manifest as the Chaturvyuha of Vaikuntha, but that's a partial manifestation. And Vaikuntha is the place of liberation. It is the place of the where religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification have their original forms. So all of the things that we have in this world are present in their original forms, all the good and auspicious things, but the original forms are completely pure. So for example, there is desire in the spiritual world, but it is pure desire. It is desire to please the senses of my beloved. And all of these different vrittis or occupations are present, but in their original and pure form. The Vedas are also present in their personified forms, and how they are always absorbed in singing about the qualities of the master of Gokul. So there are some people who want to attain Goloka Dham by their own contemplation and meditation without getting the favor of Sri Krishna. And this is described as utterly futile because there are 10 spears, uh, Dasha, Dasha Shulam, 10 spears, and anyone from any 10 direction who tries to approach using gyan and meditation and yoga process, they will be pierced by these spears and fall away in futility. So the Dham is protected. It is the place for Govindji and his dear devotees. And then they must go back. So Nirvana is worthy of a position in Brahmadham, the destination of impersonal liberation, but not in Goloka. Impersonal liberation has been called the spears or shula, which form the outer covering of Goloka. So if someone tries to enter Goloka by their own endeavor, it is not possible. They can only get impersonal liberation. Brahmaji has said this in the 14th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. Aruhya kritrena param padam tataha padantyato nadata yushmadangraya. There are those who perform very, very difficult, severe austerities so that they can rise up to the position of liberation. They think themselves liberated, but they are not. Their intelligence is impure because they have failed to understand that the actual position of liberation is to be engaged in loving service. So they are floating around in Mahakalapur in Brahmajyoti thinking, now I am liberated, I have freed myself from everything, but they are not liberated. Their intelligence is impure because they do not understand that they must surrender. And so, patantiyato nadate yushmarangraya, they have not worshipped your lotus feet, and therefore they come again to this world. Sometimes some people use this as a misunderstanding and an interpretation of how it is possible for the jiva to fall from Vaikuntha, because these people were never in Vaikuntha. These Atmas who attain the state of liberation to Mahakalapur, it is the external part of Vaikuntha Dham, not even Vaikuntha Dham. It is the lower part, and above this lower part of Brahmalok is the upper part where Sadashiva resides, where Sadashiva Lok is. So they have not even attained that. What to speak of Vaikuntha? They have not even gone to Sadashiva Lok. They are not actually liberated, and so they come again to this material world. This is the meaning of the 10 direction spears. So whatever aspirations that Ashtanga yogis and Brahmavadis, Mayavadis may have for progress to Golok, they are cut to shreds on these tridents situated in the 10 directions, and they fall into the ditch of unmitigated dejection. When those traveling in the direction of Goloka along the path of bhakti in the mood of opulence make some progress in their journey, they see the 8 perfections of mystic yoga headed by Anima Siddhi and the treasures headed by Mahapadma and become attracted to them. And thus they stop in Vaikuntha, which has the nature of an outer covering of Golok. But if their intelligence is not even that refined, they don't even make it to Vaikuntha. They will go again to the material world. So this is an important distinction to understand. Ashtabir Nidibir Jushtam, Ashtabit Siddhivistata. So there are the 8 siddhis and there are 8 treasures headed by Mahapadma. So this is so much more valuable than anything that is found in this world. And these things, these treasures and these siddhis are very attractive, and those who follow the path of bhakti with opulence, they will be attracted to Vaikuntha. They will want to go to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is the place of Aishwarya, where there is so much opulence. Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur once was addressing some doubts disciples had. If we have these big temples, how will they be maintained? And Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur said, I can take one brick from one house in Vaikuntha and it will be worth more than all the wealth in this world. So don't worry, Krishna will maintain. So there is so much opulence in Vaikuntha, but there is even more opulence in Golok Vrindavan. But that opulence is covered by sweetness. Srila Gurudev gave me the example that if I have 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of sugar, I will taste some sugar, I will taste the salt. If I have 2 cups of salt and 100 cups of sugar, you will not taste any salt. So the salt is compared to the Aishwarya, the opulence. There is more opulence in Golok, but so much more, overwhelmingly more sweetness or madhurya. So Golokadham, and this is the whole point of this verse, how it is explaining that there are these 10 spears, these 10 trishuls or tridents, and these are keeping out the unqualified persons, the persons who are not devotees. It is incomprehensible and it is impenetrable and it is easily accessible only through pure prema bhakti. Okay, this is very important. So, Prema Bhakti, which is described in Madhurya Kadambini, which is described in that verse, that Adav Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sango Tabhajana Kriya Tato Narta Nivritti Syat Tato Nishta Ruchistada. This verse, which is expanded in the entire book Madhurya Kadambini, that is describing the process, sadhakanam ayam premna pradurbhave bhavet kramaha, by which prema is gradually manifest in the heart of the sadhakas. So only by manifesting, by following this path of prema bhakti, one can um, then reach Golok Vrindavan. And now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is further describing the preacher of Yuga Dharma, who is the sum total of all avatars of Bhagavan. Sabha avatar Sara Shiromani, right? He remains there eternally in order to bestow mercy upon the devotees who arrive there after traversing the path of Shuddha Prema Bhakti. There, he is surrounded by eternal associates in accordance with his complexion, mood, and other specific features. That Dham in Gokul, the inner region of Golok, called Shvetadweep, is his abode. So this is now referring to Shvetadweep, which is the Nitya Dham, the eternal abode, which is manifest as Navadvip. And this is where Sri Gaura Hari is manifesting his eternal pastimes. And the associates are present both in that Shvetadvip, in the spiritual world, which is within Golok, and in Golok Vrindavan Dham, simultaneously in two forms. So Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described Shvetadweep, Shvetadweep Nam Navadweep Gram, pastimes of Navadweep Dham, which are supplementary to Gokula Lila, are eternally present in the center of that Shvetadweep. So Navadweep Mandal, Braja Mandal, and Golok are one undivided reality. Remember, it is said that Dhamma Tattva is very difficult to understand. We won't understand Dham Tattva by trying to turn the crank of our intellect and try to squeeze it out. It has to be revealed. And how will it be revealed? In the association of pure devotees. When we do parikrama in association of pure devotees and hear pure harikatha in the dham, take the dust of a dham, and if we cannot be present physically in dham, we should be present in our mind. You know, these 5 things have been given. Um, uh, Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavata Shravana Mathura Vasa Shrimurtir Shraddhaya Sevan. 5 things: to associate with pure devotees, to do Nama Kirtan, to always chant, to Bhagavata Shravan, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mathura Vasa, to reside in the Dham. And if we cannot do that physically, we should do it in our heart. And Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan, and to worship the Shri Vigraha with great faith, love, and affection. So this is how this tattva of the Dham will become manifest. Shri Gauda Mandala Bhumi Jeba Jane Chintamani. This Gauda Mandala Bhumi, this is Chintamani. It is not different from Vrindavan Dham. How to understand that? This is something that one must do bhajan to understand. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given us this understanding that Navadvip Mandal, Braja Mandal, and Golok are one undivided reality. So there are unlimited sentiments which arise from prem. And in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, this is all reflecting the pastimes that are going on in Shvetadweep, in the eternal abode. So there is another confidential truth, and this is understood only by the most realized Premi Bhaktas through the mercy of Sri Krishna. In the mundane world, there is a sequence. There are upper and lower planetary systems, 14 in all. We are in the Bhumandala system. And then there is Bhuvar, Swar, uh, uh, Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satya. And below there is Tala, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, um, uh, Talatala, Rasatala, Patala. So peaceful persons who are fixed in their vows of celibacy, austerity, and truthfulness are elevated to Maharloka, Janalok, Tapalok, and up as far as Satyalok by engaging in duties without any desire to enjoy the fruit of their activities. In the highest part of that planetary system is the planet of the four-headed Brahma. Above the planet of Brahmaji is the Vaikuntha Lok of Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So remember, when Mother Bhumi was feeling distressed by all of the demonic kings who were present on her back, Mother Earth herself has said in Srimad Bhagavatam, I can carry any weight on my back except the weight of a liar. What to speak of demonic persons who are averse to devotional service of Sri Krishna? How much distress Mother Earth is feeling right now. So she was feeling distressed and she went, and Brahmaji went along with the Devas to this abode of Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So Brahmaji gave some special access. They went there on the shore of the ocean of milk and sent some prayer. Oh, Bhagavan, please help. So much distress is there. Please send avatar. And he sent that message to Brahmaji. Oh, I shall appear very soon to relieve the burden of the earth. All of you devas should take birth in the Yadu dynasty and be prepared. So now the stage has been set. This is in the beginning of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, we are continuing. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is taking us through. Okay, we have gone up to Brahmalok. Now that Vaikuntha Loka of Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And now there are the Paramahamsa sannyasis and demons killed by Bhagavan who cross the Viraja. They get the liberation into the effulgence. Nibritamadunmanokshadadayoga yujo hridayan munaya upasate tadarayo piyayo smaranat striya uragendra bhoga bhujadanda vishakta diyo vayamapite sama samadrishongri saroja sudha. The personified Vedas have said, this is in the 87th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that there are such yogis who engage in very, very hard tapasya, and they pound their mind, intellect, and senses into control. Some people think that process of bhakti is meant to be like that. No, no, no. We will engage in chanting. We will pull back our mind and senses from whatever things they are engaged in and engage in chanting and try to fill the cup up with milk so that it doesn't become inky. But instead, yogis will pound and do very hard tapasya, very hard austerities, so they can get the same result as demons who are slain by the Lord. And those demons go to the same destination as those yogis. But personified Vedas said, we think instead of the cowherd damsels of Vraj. They were distracted by being embraced, thoughts of being embraced by the beautiful arms of Sri Krishna, which are shaped like the bodies of the kings of serpents. We aspire to become like particles of dust at the lotus feet of those gopis. So this is the prayer of the gopis, of the personified Vedas who later become the Shrutichari gopis. So then there is the Jnani Bhaktas who are fond of Bhagavan's opulence. The Shuddha Bhaktas, Premi Bhaktis, Premapara Bhaktas, and Prematura Bhaktas attain positions in Vaikuntha, which is the Paravyom, the transcendental abode of Narayan. But the only devotees who attain Golokadham are those who are absorbed in Sri Krishna's supremely sweet human-like feature, following the mood prevalent in Braj. By the influence of his inconceivable potency, such devotees who are fully intent on entering these sweet human-like pastimes are situated in different positions corresponding to the gradations found between the individual rasas. In other words, this is a very important point, and it is given in the beginning of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is no such thing as I will simply do Vaidhi Bhakti Sadhana and automatically, boom, somehow by a big poof of smoke, I will go to Golok Vrindavan. It does not happen that way. One must do Vrajalokanusarata. One must aspire for the mood of the Brajavasis and aspire for service following in the footsteps of Brajavasis. That is absolutely required. Otherwise, one can only go to Vaikuntha. One can get the four types of liberation to Vaikuntha. So devotees who follow this pure and transcendental mood of Braj make their residences in Krishna Loka, but those who exclusively follow the mood of Navadvip make their residences in Gauraloka. Those devotees who are equally dedicated to the bhavas of Vrajadham and Navadvip Dham take up residence simultaneously in both Krishnaloka and Gauraloka and attain the happiness of divine loving service in both places at once. So this is actually a very profound and confidential truth. So there are devotees who only are following the footsteps of the transcendental mood of Braj, and they may get their place in Krishna Lok. And there may be some who are exclusively following the mood of Navadvip. But this is very uncommon. If someone will follow the mood of Navadvip, it means they are worshiping Sri Sachinandana Gaura Hari, not as the Yuga avatar who has come to give Yuga Dharma, but as Prema avatar, as Sri Sachinandana Gaura Hari, who has appeared by Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Ki Drishova Negaiva, and who is deeply absorbed in this transcendental mood and in understanding the confidential reasons for the appearances of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But in our line, one can also attain in both places. And Navadvip Dham is a very special place. So in the songs of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there is one song where he is describing how we will achieve Vastu Siddhi. And he is saying, Kabe Nabadvipe Suradhuni Tate Haradhe Krishna Bolo. Oh, when will I be in Navadvip Dham? And on the banks of the Ganga, I will be saying, Ha Radhe, Ha Krishna. And when I will then fall down and give up this body, Nijasthula Parichaya, then I will go to Goloka Vrindavan. So, doing bhajan in Navadvip Dham, one can go to Golok Vrindavan. Doing bhajan in Vrindavan Dham, one can go to Golok Vrindavan. Doing bhajan in Navadvip Dham, one can go simultaneously to Golok Vrindavan and Shweta Dweep, where Navadvip Dham is present in the eternal abode, also referred to here as Gauralok. So this is a very confidential truth, and we should always think on this when we are hearing about Navadvip Dham and Navadvip Dham Parikrama and in the Tattva of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now there is a quotation Srila Jiva Goswami has given in Sri Gopal Champu. What is the manifestation of Golok? It is called Golok because it is the residence of the cows and the cowherds, Go and Gopa. It is the prominent location of Rasa Lila, which is Sri Krishna's very self. That topmost realm is also known as Shvetadweep, in the form of the primary place for relishing the rasa of several varieties of spiritual sentiments, which are of the same sort of inconceivable nature. It is exceptionally pure because it is untouched by associates possessed of other types of bhav, meaning that if someone has shanta bhav, dasya bhav, there is no entrance into these confidential abodes because there is no pure shanta, no pure dasya there. So these two swarups of Paramagolok and Paramashwetadweep exist in the undivided form of Golokadham. So after tasting his pastimes in Brajalila, Krishna had not attained the happiness derived from relishing rasa completely. This is very important. Now we are coming up to the reason for the appearance of Mahaprabhu. So Brajendra Nandan Sri Krishna accepted the kanti, the internal mood, and the bhav of Sri Radhika, who is the supermost abode of Krishna Ras. So Krishna was feeling unfulfilled. I have not understood everything about my sweetness. What is it about my sweetness that drives everyone mad, especially the gopis, especially Srimati Radhika? What is it that she tastes? So that place within Golok where Krishna is manifesting the pastime of completely tasting rasa to the superlative degree is called Shweta Dweep. Okay? Try to understand. This is why Gora Tattva is so important to us. There is a place in Golok where Krishna is tasting the highest degree of ras. That is Shvetadweep. That is the place which is manifest in this earth as Navadweep. And now he is saying, Shri Radhaya Pranay Mahima Kidrishova Nagaiva Svadyo Yenad Buddhamadidima Kidrishova Madiya Saukyam Chasya Madanubhavataha Kidrisham Veti Lobhat Tadbhavardha Samajani Sachi Garbhasindao Harindu. How great is the deeply intense love or pranaya of Sri Radha? What is the nature of my astonishing sweetness which she alone relishes? And what special kind of happiness does she experience on tasting my sweetness? A greed to taste these three things arose within the heart of Sri Krishna. And to fulfill that intense desire, he took birth from the womb of Sri Sachimata like the moon appearing from the ocean. So we are hearing Brahma Samhita, and through these explanations of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we are diving deeply into understanding the secret and confidential nature of Shri Navadvip Dham. So this profound intention within the Gopal Champu verse has been illuminated here. There is also a statement from the Vedas describing how there is a Navadvip Dham, also known as Goloka, on the bank of the Jahnavi River. And there, Gaura Govinda, the two-armed embodiment of pure existence, manifests pure bhakti for the sake of delivering the living entities who are ensnared in the chain of repeated birth and death. He is all-pervading and beyond the influence of the three modes of nature. He is the Supreme Personality, the best yogi, and the greatest Atma. That one divinity, the embodiment of all divine forms, the Supreme Soul, appears as the golden, red, black, and white Yuga avatars. In other words, he is avatari. Avatari means that person who comes as avatar. So he is not an avatar, he is the avatari, the source of all incarnations. He is Brajendra Nandan Sri Krishna with the Kanti and Bhav of Sri Radha. He is the complete consciousness and he is endowed with spiritual potency. He appears in the form of a devotee. He bestows bhakti and he is understood only through bhakti. So there is so much scriptural evidence that establishes the non-difference of Sri Gaurachandra and Sri Krishna Chandra. And brief reference has been given, Asan Varnastraya, that is from the Garga Muni has stated this in Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam Tvasha Krishnam. This well-known verse is in the 11th canto, spoken by Karabhajana Rishi. Yada pashyate rukma varnam. This is another statement of the golden complexion Lord, and Mahan Prabhu Vai. So in his eternal form of Sri Gaurahari in Navadvip, he is absorbed in tasting the ras of Radha and Krishna's Goloka pastimes. So, by influence of Yoga Maya, the original form of Sri Krishna takes birth in the earthly Gokul and performs pastimes of infancy, boyhood, and adolescence. So, the original form of Sri Gaura is similarly endowed with such pastimes in the earthly Navadvip, beginning with his birth from the womb of Sri Sachimata. This is a fundamental truth. It is an axiomatic principle realized by pure transcendental cognition. In other words, not by wringing our brain out, but by our heart, by praying, by chanting, following in the footsteps of Vrajavasis, following in the footsteps of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. And it is all manifest only by the supreme transcendental mercy of the Lord and Acharyas. So this finally concludes the fifth chapter of the fifth verse of the fifth chapter. Any questions?
I have a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
One is, which song were you singing of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's?
Oh, that one, it is in the songbook. It is not Dekite Dekite, which is another song about achieving Vastu Siddhi. I will have to send you the link for that. I have to look it up. But it is why don't you go on? What's the next question?
Okay, so you mentioned how to get Raganuga Bhakti, we need to have in sadhu sangha. So I was wondering, does a Raganuga sadhak need the manifest presence of a sadhu to be anugatya?
So there has to be contact of the sadhu, and we have to surrender. So if sadhu, like, your Gurudev lived with um in Mutt for so many decades and serving and hearing. And so there is contact. It is like you are touching electric current, and who is also a pure sadhu. So yes, this is manifest presence of a pure sadhu. If someone does not have this, there is no possibility of practicing Raganuga Bhakti. So you are very fortunate, and you are also staying with someone who is a great sadhui. And this is a double blessing because we always want to have sadhu sangha. Janame Janame Mor E Abhilash. Srila Narottam Das Thakur is praying, birth after birth, I want to be in association of pure devotees. Sadhu Sangha means association of pure devotees, those who are uh, always absorbed in bhakti.
Thank you. I have one more question, but
Yeah.
it's kind of tangential, but it kind of came up. So, uh, when you mentioned you were talking about Krishna's birth lila, Janma lila, and I was wondering, so when Krishna leaves to go to Dwarka, so everybody knows, or everybody at least knows that Devaki's the daughter that was, or the son that was, the baby that was brought before Kamsa was killed. So how are they able to maintain saying that Krishna is the son of Devaki? Do you know what I mean?
Well, so Krishna is manifest within the hearts of devotees to different degrees according to how they approach him. If someone is following the path of Vaidhi Bhakti and they are aspiring to have bhakti which is also mixed with gyan, then they will certainly attain to Vaikuntha. And someone may be worshiping two-armed Krishna, whom they see as the son of Devaki. And he is seen as the son of Devaki, and he is the husband of Rukmini. So if you ask anyone in Madhva Sampradaya, who is the consort of Krishna, they will say, oh, he is the Lord of Rukmini. That deity of Udupi Krishna, who is the main deity of Krishna, who is only worshipped by the Acharya in the Madhva Sampradaya. This is a deity that was made because when Krishna was away from Dwarka, Rukmini ji was missing him so much. Vishwakarma made a deity of Krishna for Rukmini ji to worship. But that is Krishna in the form of Gopal. And this deity was lost, later had become uh, surrounded by a lump of Gopi Chandan and came to Srimad Ananda Tirtha Madhvacharya and was installed as the Udupi Krishna, Gopal Krishna deity. So that is the view of other devotees whose goal is to achieve Vaikuntha.
Thank you.
Yes. So that is actually from the that one line is from Kabe Habe Bolo. You know Kabe Habe Bolo Se Dinamar,
Hmm.
and that is Kabe Nabadvipe Suradhuni Tate Gora Nityananda Boli Nishkapate. And then there is a that is, but the other one is Dekite Dekite. That is actually about Vastu Siddhi.
Thank you.
Yes. Dekite Dekite is describing Vastu Siddhi. Any other questions? All right. Well, we'll end there. Thank you. And you know, there is a playlist, and that has all of these classes on it.